So my name's David. I'm head of data at Metaplane. So there's some details below if you want to follow me on Twitter or contact me in other ways. My talk today is on observability versus quality in data. So some context, I think data is becoming a product. I think we're well aware of that, and pretty much everyone on this call will be. It's long gone are the days where data is just something that goes into BI and then it's some report that is used or not used, right? The data that we're producing today is being operationalized, is being used for machine learning, product experience, in-session actions, and business intelligence, which is becoming more important than it used to be. But more data, more problems. So things inevitably break. And what's one of the real problems with this is data is something that needs trust from an organization. So if the trust gets broken because stakeholders see broken data or they make the wrong decision based on broken data, the impact of data in an organization gets reduced, which is the exact opposite of what we want as a community. So what's the problem? Data analytics engineers are fixing things after the fact, and this is very related to what Chad spoke about. Data needs to be a first-class system of application development in the CI/CD flow, and what we should be thinking about is trying to move, further to the left in the DAG to improve quality. And so there are quality and observability approaches that we can take to prevent data going into the red zone. So this is a quote from Kevin, who's our CEO. Data is more fragile than software. So in software, there is a line which goes, treat software like cattle, not like pets. In data, it's more like thoroughbred racehorses because lineage matters. And I think one of the things is with data, when it's broken, you can't just fix it and it comes back up again. You can lose data, data is corrupted forever, and sometimes it's completely irreversible when it's broken. So data observability. So data observability, it's a term that I think a lot of experienced data practitioners kind of scratch their head about. What is data observability? So I think it's really interesting within the context of testing, where testing is around asserting something typically about a Boolean outcome. This is true or this is false. My primary key is unique or it's got duplicates. This column has nulls or it doesn't, right? That's what testing is great at. What observability does is it monitors trends of scalar values. So things like, let's say, for example, you have a table where there's a foreign key. The foreign key can be null, and let's say it's null 8 to 10% of the time. There is going to be some tolerance, a statistical significance, where if you've breached that, it's not. It's probably an anomaly and it could be a data quality issue. So that's exactly what data observability tools do. We track things like freshness. So how recently has your data been updated, and is that in sync with what you need or what you'd expect, and what has happened in the past, more specifically. And we do things like schema change detection, cardinality. So let's say you've got a field which is an enum, like marketing channel, for example, might have 10 values, but it could, if you lose one or you get a new one, that's something you want to know about. So there's a few different things observability tools can help in terms of quality. So quality assurance is, as I said before, it's asserting what good looks like, and it's usually a Boolean outcome. So things like DBT tests, which you're probably quite familiar with, but there's actually not that many tools on the market to help you with this. But it's something that we do need to invest in as a community. So in software engineering, test suites are a huge part of the cost of building. I've seen projects where a software engineer has changed one line of code and had to write 40 lines of tests, right? So it's something that we need to actually invest in as a profession, because it's just unavoidable if we want quality. There is a balance between coverage and complexity as well. We can't write a test for everything. And I think that's where observability is really helpful as well, because often when you're trying to write too many tests, it's because you're trying to estimate that confidence interval, and you're trying to set upper and lower bounds, and that's actually where tests don't do well. So some specific examples of quality assurance. So for example, and this is, again, goes back to data contracts a bit, managing your tracking workflow to ensure that complete and correct data is captured. So you can, test it against, say, like a JSON schema or a data dictionary to make sure that it is the way you want. It's complete in terms of fields, got the right data types, etc. But then there's also things like data diff, where you can test different data sets, well, the same data set from different environments to see if there's a possible quality issue. And you can do that on like a row by row basis or in other ways. So what's needed? I think both. I don't know a CTO who hasn't got a New Relic, who hasn't got Datadog or one of those tools, incident.io. They all have one of those. They also all have a test suite. It's not one or the other. And we've had that question from many people. Oh, shouldn't I just use tests? No, you should use tests and observability. And there's also increasingly things that can be inserted into the CI workflow. So you've got things like data diff, which can check inside the CI workflow for problems between what you've proposed in your code and what already exists in production. And then things which can also tell you about downstream dependencies, whether like BI tools or different dbt models. And that's my talk. Thank you.